Hello, everybody. This is Bart Bettiga, the publisher of TileLetter magazine, and I have with me our December one-to-one guest today. He's none other than Nyle Wadford of News Tile Service. A lot of people have seen or met Nyle over the years. He's been involved with the NTCA for a long, long time. For all 20 years that I've been the executive director of the association, and he's this year's 2021 recipient of the NTCA's prestigious Ring of Honor. Nyle, congratulations on your award, and thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Bart. Thank you for having me.
So, what does when I say you're going to receive the award, well, that award will take place at Total Solutions Plus, and by the time people see this, that'll have already transpired. And it's been a great month for you. You just turned 60 years of age, and now you'll get up in front of several hundred people to receive this award. What does that mean to you? I know you know about the Ring of Honor and people that have received it. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, that's part of what humbles me, Bart. I'm aware of the award. I'm aware of a lot of dear friends of mine and mentors of mine that have received the award, and people that have taught me a lot throughout the years. And to receive the same award that they've got really humbles me. Number one. Number two, I'm incredibly honored that I am receiving the award. And as you know, I was wondering if somebody had made a mistake to bestow the honor on me, but I am incredibly humbled by the award.
You know, it's great. And no, we didn't make a mistake. You actually received the Tile Person of the Year distinction back, I believe it was 2012. I worked with you for 10 plus years in your role on the executive committee. You still remain on the committee as an advisor, a very respected advisor to me. If I was going to ask you, Nyle, during the years you were on the executive committee, in particular your time as president, chairman, what are some of the things that we accomplished at NTCA, maybe perhaps as you're in your legacy, that you're most proud of?
Well, Bart, overall, I think it's one of our taglines at the NTCA. I think we're the voice of the tile contractor, and I'm most proud of the things that we've been able to accomplish for our membership, especially in the area of qualified labor, which you and I work very hard on. Spent a lot of years flying all over the country, meeting and getting some spec language written, and basically just recognizing qualified labor and qualified labor within our membership, and promoting it within the industry. I think has made a big difference for us, and has given us a lot of recognition. And I'm very proud of the recognition that we've received and continue to receive. I think we've laid some good groundwork going forward, and proud to be part of the respect that we've earned and gained in the industry. And I'm again humbled by some of the things that we have accomplished. When you look back on it, if you look at it in a microcosm, when you're sitting in the committee meetings all the time, it doesn't really hit you. But when you sit back and look at it where we were, and kind of evidence of that is I look back at the handbook, and when it was 30 some pages, and now it's 400 and some pages. And not that we've added a lot of fluff to it, I think we've added a lot of good things, and being a part of that is something I'm very proud of.
It's interesting. I know we're aging ourselves out a little bit, but as you mentioned, when I first started working with you in the technical committee, there was the programs like certification. The CTEF certification program didn't exist. The NTCA 5-star program, which was a company recognition program that we put together, didn't exist. And most importantly, like you alluded to, there were no qualifications even in Division 9 specifications as related to labor. And you and I and other groups of people from NTCA worked with the TCAA and the union to develop some of that language that they were proud of on their end and we were proud of on ours. And we were able to get that, as you mentioned, into the TCNA handbook. And then subsequently later, we submitted, along with the union, the IMI, to master spec, and later into BSD spec links. And so, those qualifications, I think, have helped contractors perhaps get jobs at time, or certainly perhaps even negotiate better pricing or their terms because of those credentials. So, thank you for your work on that. Talk to me a little bit about the handbook, Nile, and the NTCA Technical Committee. You're kind of known. One of your employees penned you as a walking, breathing encyclopedia for the handbook. Why is that so important to you? And tell me a little bit about your role representing NTCA on those standards and methods type committees.
I think back in 2006 was my first meeting, when you approached James and I as being two representatives from the NTCA. To be quite honest with you, I was scared to death at my first meeting at Clemson, and didn't really know what to expect. Had only attended probably one or two meetings as a guest, and wasn't really familiar with the process. But they kind of looked at you with a little bit of trepidation when you first got there, but they welcomed us with open arms, and we actually spoke up. And I think that's one of the reasons you probably put James and I on there, is we would actually represent our organization, our association, and we started to make some inroads into, I think, a situation where it had become a little bit antagonistic between manufacturers and contractors and the like, and that immediately we saw it, and we started to break down some walls, and I think we got developed some friendships that I think have carried over even to this day. But I think it's vitally important in that you're able to qualify your work. The architectural design community is actually able to tell you how they want it installed, even though oftentimes it's incorrect. But you can tell them back to them and explain to them how it should be done, the method that should be used, or at least qualify your bid to make sure that everybody's bidding on the same playing field. And I think it's vitally important. A lot of work goes into the methods, and again, we talked about all the things that have been added through the years. Even very proud of the stone section that we added. I remember doing that and having a meeting up in Arlington, Virginia, and coming up with the idea and then taking it full blown to what it is now. And it really tied in well, and that led to some associations with some other organizations. And after a while, it became, hey, let's get together for the good of the industry. And a lot of people dropped their, I would say, their company armor, and we came together for the betterment of the industry. And I think that has been proven by a lot of what we've gotten accomplished. That carries over into the technical committee as well. Technical committee has been able to produce a reference manual, which I think is one of the top 3 documents in the tile industry in the world. We've really done a kind of a revamp on that as well a couple of times, and had great participation from the industry, some of the best minds in the industry. Same thing on the handbook committee. We've got from all aspects of the industry, and they all participate. And all of us have really kind of dropped our own interests for the betterment of the industry. There's still some things we would rather see than not see, and not everything we wish gets through gets into the handbook or even the reference manual. But there's a great collaboration with everybody within those committees that comes to a common goal. And it's really neat to see the subcommittees work together that we've kind of worked into last, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, to produce some results that the entire technical committee has been pretty impressed with, and been able to produce some documents that I think are incredibly useful in the industry. And I think the reference manual has information in it I think is underutilized in the industry, and would like to make our membership aware that that is a very useful document, as well as a handbook as well. But carrying forward, I think it can only get better. They'll only get more refined, and they address issues that are prevalent in the industry and solve problems in a lot of different aspects.
Yeah, methods working in the trenches on methods and committees that you just talked about. You're the vice chairman, or are the vice chairman of the NTCA Technical Committee. And I know that you worked, and I think you still work on the TCNA Handbook Committee's backer board subcommittee. And you are also a voting representative, as you mentioned, on the TCNA Handbook and in ANSI. The reason I bring it up is some aspects of committee work at NTCA, you like to rotate people out, get more new people involved. But when you're really working on methods and standards, it takes years of kind of being in that arena in order to sustain change or affect change. I believe you actually represented NTCA at least once, maybe twice, speaking at the international code hearings representing contractors. So, a lot of that work takes place. You touched on this, so I'm going to segue that one thing you feel pretty strongly about is sharing this information. It's a lot good to have these standards, but we've got to get the word out to designers, to architects, to the distribution community. And I know you've spoke for us nationally, but I also think you've done some work in your own community with this. Can you talk about that and why that's important to you?
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes, I'm a big quote guy, is knowledge is power, and knowledge shared is power multiplied. And I think that is true in our own community, but it's true throughout our industry. And that's what I've been trying to do here. We have a lot of different, I guess you would say, manufacturers, representation shows, presentations at distributorships and whatnot. And I always try to attend those, always try to boost participation in those, because that knowledge is something that nobody could ever take it away from you. It's like a trade. I say, once you gain this knowledge, nobody could ever take it away from you. You always use it and you always refer back to it.
It's true.
In our local association, my company is traditionally, we've been members of the Home Builders Association, both locally and nationally, for probably 50 years. And I remember going to Home Builders Association meetings with my dad as a little kid, and all the networking that we can do there. And somebody had an architect refer to us last week as we were the go-to source for tile in our area, and or at least helping solve problems. Not necessarily that we're trying to gather all the work, but at least solve some problems and answer questions. And that makes me feel good in that they trust us. But that would only come, has only come through the knowledge that I've gained through my association with NTCA and the committees that I've been fortunate enough to be on.
That's great. Well, you touched on your dad. NTCA is celebrating 75 years as a trade association next year. I believe that News Tile Service, you're in the Raleigh-Durham area, Youngsville, North Carolina, right? Is what you just told me, 57 years your company's been in business. Talk about your dad's legacy tell us a little bit about your business, the type of work you do, and a little bit about how you came into running Noose along with your sister Paige and your dad's business.
Yeah, my dad and my uncle actually started my business out of my dad's carport in 1957. I'm sorry, 1964, and been here 57 years plus this year. And I've always been involved in the business. My first job site experience, I think, was 11 years old. And he had no qualms about putting me in the mud box and doing everything that everybody else did. And that's one of the things that I absolutely despised at the time. I was more or less required to do it, but it did provide me with some nice dirt bikes that I was able to buy back in the day. But I really didn't see the value of the work that I was doing. But I remember sitting in a handbook meeting and talking about mud set tile work, which has become a kind of a dying art in a lot of places throughout the country. And I knew pretty much about it. And I would not have learned that had I not had the experience that I did as a youth coming up and setting tile myself back in the back in the early days. And when I got out of college, I came straight to work. Never had a job interview in my life. And my dad said, you know, your nameplate's ready. Let's go to work. Be there at 6:30 the day after I graduated. So been at it hard ever since, and seen a lot of changes in the industry, a lot of changes in our business. And with the help of my sister, who came to work with us in the mid-90s, we've tried very hard to continue his legacy. My dad bought my uncle out of his portion of the business 3 years after it started. My uncle wanted to go do some other things, and my dad ran it from there, along with the second job that he had. And that was very early on. And we had a crack staff back then, and some really dedicated people. We've had a lot of dedicated people over the years, and that's the only reason I feel like I had very little to do with it. I'm just kind of the hand on the rudder, and guiding where we should go and what we should chase, and what kind of work we do. And our folks in the field are really quality people, and they do great work, and we've been able to establish that, and rely on that legacy going forward, to continue the groundwork that my dad started and instilled in us about quality work always.
If I was going to ask you, this is my last question, Nyle, if I was going to ask you, like, what keeps you up at night? What do you know, you've said you've seen a lot of change, probably good and bad, over the years. What do you think are some of our major challenges as contractors moving into 2022 with the market conditions that we now have?
Well, I have had, it's funny you say keep you up at night, because I had that conversation with some folks that we meet with regularly for a little breakfast meeting, and we talk about their groups of contractors, everything from builders to subcontractors, and they talk about things that keep you up at night. And somebody actually asked me, so what keeps you up at night? And I said, my dogs are getting me up to take me out, or getting me to take them out in the middle of the night. It's about the only thing. And the reason I answer it that way is because by instilling in me that we should always do quality work, what I think I brought to the table, as he passed the business on to myself and my sister, is that we brought the knowledge of what the quality products were that we should be using and how to do that quality work. And it afforded us great inroads into some technical changes that not a lot of people knew about in our industry, and we've been able to do some projects that nobody else has been able to do. But getting back to what keeps me up at night, that does not keep me. Tile work does not keep me up at night, other than occasionally I'll forget to do something and get up and write it down, like everybody does. But I don't worry about our installations, because I know they're done with quality products by quality people. And that's a great relief. And I try to preach that message a lot, that use quality products, you do it the right way, and do it using the standards and the methods that we developed. It takes a lot of worry off of you. The thing I worry about going forward is participation in our industry. On the installation side, I think there's a lot of people that are willing to be on the sales side. A lot of people say a lot of the youth that are coming up now there was a generation or two that didn't want to break a sweat, didn't want to get dirty. But I've also seen that turn a little bit in the last few years. There's a lot of younger generation doesn't want to incur a lot of debt and be burdened with that either.
That's right.
There's good money to be made in the trades, and the tile work especially. It's we're one of the few trades that shows up on the job and there's nothing there, and when we leave, it's a piece of art. None of them are done exactly the same ever, and it takes a lot of talent to create what we do, especially in a lot of cases, given the framework of structure that we have to work with and what we create out of that.
Yeah, and it's a highly visual, as you said, product, so people can see it for years and years when they go buy a building or a commercial office, and know that they participated in that. I agree with you. I like to think that over the 20 years we've been working together, it feels to me like there's almost a shift, if you will. And in the last couple of years, we're starting to see some interest again from young people, as you said, coming in, and this is not, not the type of interest that it's the only job I can find. It's the type of interest that some of these young people are aware, as you said, that there's opportunity in the construction industry, opportunity in learning the trade through apprenticeship, and or just working for a company like yours and being taught the right way to do things, and then seeing that, maybe not having to incur debt. And then, the great American way, some people stay with you forever. Some people might go on their own and open their own business if they saw that they had that opportunity. And we've all seen those things happen over the years. So thanks again, Nyle, for being our guest today. Once again, I'd like to, on behalf of the NTCA and TileLetter Magazine, we'd like to congratulate you on receiving the prestigious NTCA Ring of Honor, and look forward to sharing that with you over the next year.
Thank you, Bart. I really appreciate all the NTCA has done for me, you especially, and look forward to seeing everyone at TSP.
Our guest today has been Nyle Wadford of Noose Tile Service, the 2021 Ring of Honor winner. Thank you and have a great day, everybody.